How do you pick a good song for a video? We know music is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, like atomic energy or compound interest. But how do we wrangle it, get it to make our videos sing? The answer is elusive, because it lives in a place where almost no one ever goes. Join us on the other side to learn the simple secret of finding great music. So you want to find a great piece of music for that video, but you start looking around the web and it's nothing but instant overwhelm. Because what's your criteria for selecting? This is why it's been so hard. Hi, I'm Steve Washer with BrainyVideo.com. In this video, you're going to learn how to choose the best music for your videos. Now, right now, you don't really have any but the vaguest of criteria because no one seems to talk about it. Maybe because it seems so obvious, but you know it isn't. You might be advised to think about what you want your audience to feel. That's what music is about, right? It's about making us feel. But we've left out an important step in our thinking process about how this whole business of emotion works, and that's why you've not been able to do it. So let's put the missing piece of our thinking process back where it belongs, and your method of choosing music will suddenly become quite easy to do. So let's look closely at our thinking process now. Now, generally speaking, you want people to take an action as a result of seeing your video. Maybe it's buying a widget, or learning a piece of software, or donating to a cause. That's over here. But over here, we've been asking ourselves what emotion we want people to feel, over here as a result of hearing our music. Well, okay, we know that people make decisions with their emotions first and then justify them with logic afterwards. So you're choosing your music on the basis of emotion. And for this to have any effect on this, we need to understand it can't just be a generalized emotion. It has to be the emotion that powers the exact action you want them to take. So you see, there's something here in the middle, a bridge between the two that's been missing. Here's the secret. What goes right here as a bridge between the music and the emotion and leading to action is an image. You choose an image that leads to the emotion that powers the action you want them to take. So you see, it's the image that stands between you and that emotion. Our emotions, especially in a video, are stimulated by images. Without the image being created in our minds first, there can't even be an emotion. And this is the step that everyone skips. They want to get to that emotion right away. They feel like it should be an intuitive process. And there is a role for intuition, but we first have to decide on an image. Now, sometimes we get lucky and the image we want to use is one we can show right in the video. Then the music choice is kind of obvious. For example, in a video I made recently about leadership, I talked about the journey of the reluctant hero and encouraged you to go on that journey. The image I wanted you to have in your head happened to be one I could also show on the screen. Take a look. You reimagine your story as a journey, the journey of the reluctant hero. We've seen this a million times and we never grow tired of it. That's because this story is kind of hardwired into our consciousness. Luke Skywalker loses his family and answers the call to adventure. He wanders in the wilderness, narrowly escapes defeat and death countless times, finds a powerful mentor, gathers allies, learns what he needs to become and to do in order to succeed, and finally returns to conquer his enemies and ultimately triumphs. The world of business is like this too. Now, all I had to do was summarize the story in a very simple way. The images and familiar music filled in all the blank spaces. But what if you can't show the images on screen? This is the case for about 90% of the time. So to choose your music wisely, you have to decide on the exact image you want to infect your viewer with. Then let the music provide the emotional injection of that image into the bloodstream of your viewer. Now, it follows that if the image is specific enough, then the music chosen for that image will be more effective than if the image is generalized. The music will always be the music. It can become like a Rorschach test if the person listening to it has to supply their own images. If this happens, you could lose your viewer in the music because your music and your images aren't working together. Now, this often happens when people don't decide the exact image they want to create in the mind of their viewer. Now, what do I mean by exact image? I mean an image that leads directly to an emotion. Let's go back to my little leadership video as an example. We established that in some cases we can just show the image, but sometimes we can't because it's just not possible or practical. Say you're doing a demonstration of how to use a piece of software. Do you want to show the image of your viewer all pumped up on Jolt Cola, furiously tapping away at their keyboard as the expert coder they are as a result of listening to your tutorial? That'd be kind of silly, right? But you want them to use your tutorial. You want them to see themselves as the expert coder. So you can use music to reinforce that image. Let me give you a very practical example of how this might work. Let's move forward a few frames in the video about leadership I just showed you, and we'll see how two different pieces of music create two very different images in the viewer, and thus could create two different emotions and actions. Now, in this first example, I want my viewer to have the image of themselves succeeding in the spotlight. Thousands of adoring fans shouting their name from the cheap seats of the football stadium. My viewer is filled with excitement and adrenaline, and the endorphins are overflowing. Can I find a piece of music to create this image? Let's see. The world of business is like this too. Now, maybe you've never thought about your life in this way, but everyone has something unique that life has taught them. In Seth Godin's book, Tribes, he writes that all of us are meant to take a leadership role with a special group of people who are out there waiting for you and lost without you. They need to hear your story so that they can be inspired. And they need to know what you know so that they can become who they're supposed to be. Okay, so that's one image leading to one kind of emotion, which will lead to a certain action. But wait, is that the only kind of emotion someone might respond to take action on becoming a leader? What if I want them to approach leadership from a different place, maybe a place of grown-up responsibility? Then I need to create a different kind of image. That image might be standing in front of a large group of professionals who are relying on you to give them the right stuff so that they can become better at what they do. The image is of a straight-talking, trustworthy expert. The emotion that this leads to is quiet confidence. Same action as before, but now we need our music to color the intention. Is this possible? Take a look. The world of business is like this too. Now, maybe you've never thought about your life in this way, but everyone has something unique that life has taught them. In Seth Godin's book, Tribes, he writes that all of us are meant to take a leadership role with a special group of people who are out there waiting for you and lost without you. They need to hear your story so that they can be inspired. And they need to know what you know so that they can become who they're supposed to be. So, let's summarize this section. In order to choose your music, you only have to do one thing. Decide on the exact image you want to transfer to your viewer to get the emotion you want them to feel. Now, you may be wondering, okay, I can do that. I can choose an image, but how do I choose the music? Well, here's one more secret, and you must believe me when I tell you this. When it comes to choosing music, you're already an artist. Even if your videos look like everybody else's, when you choose your music, it will transform your video into a work of art. Okay, maybe not the Mona Lisa, or even Lisa Simpson, but yes, a little work of art. You see, every video creator has a style. The music you choose will be out of your vision. Only you will be able to say when you hear it that time, yeah, this is mine. You need to trust yourself. And yes, you should probably listen to some TV shows with your eyes closed. But this is all just part of your general education as a video marketer. Now, there are links below where you can go to get music, audition it, see if you like it. This is where real editing software comes in handy because you can place your music on multiple tracks and turn them on and off to see which one you respond to the most. But the most important thing is to respond to it you. I know, in marketing, you're not supposed to put out the things that you like, but rather the things you think your audience will like. Well, this is one of those few times you can tell your inner marketer to, go to lunch and let your inner artist out to play. And then you won't need a spreadsheet and 7 bullet points to follow. All you'll need is something to spark your imagination. And that just means listening to music. And what could be a nicer thing to do on a rainy Sunday afternoon? For more in-tune video tips, visit my blog at brainyvideo.com. There are 5 new ebooks waiting for you there, all for free. For richer video marketing, I'm Steve Washer with brainyvideo.com.